when you were a lad that lacked a trade, oh, many's the thing you'd see on the way from Killa the Grange to Ballyberrack, and from Cabinteely down into Bray. When you walked these roads the whole of a day, high walls there would be to the left and right, with ivies growing across the top, and a briery ditch on the other side, and a place where a quiet goat might crop, and a wayside bench where a man could stop a hen that had found a thing in her sleep. One would think, the way she went craw craw cree, you would hear as you sat on the bench was there, and a cock that thought he crew mightily, and all of the stir of the world would be cart that went creaking along the road, and another cart that kept coming near, a man breaking stones, 4 bits of the day one stroke, and another would come to you clear, and then no more from that stone breaker. And his day went by as the clouds went by, as hammer in hand he sat alone, breaking the mendings of the road. The dazzles up from the stones were thrown when, after the rain, the sun down shone, and you'd leave him there, that stone breaker, and you'd wonder who came to see what was done by him in a day, or a month, or a week. He broke a stone and another one, and you left him there, and you traveled on a quiet road. You would get to know the briars and stones along by the way. A dozen times you'd see a last year's nest, a peacock's cry, a pigeon astray would be marks enough to set on a day, or the basket carriers. You would meet a man and a woman, they were a pair, the woman going beside his heel, a straight walking man with a streak of him bare, and eyes that would give you a crafty stare. Coming down from the hills they'd have ferns to sell, going up from the strand they'd have cockles in stock, sand in their baskets from the sea, or clay that was stripped from a hillside rock, a pair that had often stood in the dock, or a man that played on a tin whistle. He looked as he'd taken a scarecrow's rig, playing and playing as though his mind could do nothing else but go to a jig, and no one around him, little or big, and you'd meet no man else until you came where you could look down upon the sedge, and watch the Dargle water flow, and men smoke pipes on the bridge's ledge, while a robin sang by the haws in a hedge, or no bird sang, and the bird catchers would have talk enough for a battle gained, when they came from the field and stood by the bridge, taking shelter beside it while it trained, while the bird new caught huddled and strained in this cage or that, a linnet or finch, and the points it had were declared and surmised, and this one's tail was spread out, and there 2 little half moons, the marks that were prized, and you looked well on the bird assized. Then men would go by with a rick of hay piled on a cart, with them you would be walking beside the piled up load. It would seem as it left the horses free, they went with such stride and so heartily, and so you'll go back along the road,